welcome back with another episode of Ambassador of Peace with an amazing peace leader. Today, our guest is Kushboo Razmowar. She is originally from Afghanistan, and also she is a realtor by profession. The reason we invited her today to discuss more about what's going on in American market as far as real estate is concerned. Also, we need to learn more about Afghanistan changes, what has been changed recently in Afghanistan. The reason she's the best person to discuss the Afghanistan situation because she's very much active in peace-building activities. Let's welcome her to this show and learn more about it. Hello, Kushboo, how are you?
Good, I'm doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming here.
You're welcome. So as far as the real estate market goes in DC is standing very strong. You know, anywhere in a major city right now, a single family home is the most sought out and the most expensive thing to obtain. Being in DC actively, I work with various range of different residential goals.
Okay.
My clients are renters to home buyers, home sellers, as well as commercial investors that are buying or selling. So I'm very active in a lot of different communities, one being the Hispanic community that's very welcoming.
I see.
Another being, you know, our Middle Eastern community, which is also very welcoming. And I have met a lot of powerful individuals in the real estate market and exciting people to meet and know.
Good. That's great. So how did you get into and when in the real estate profession?
So in 2016, I started to work for a national firm. Our focus was on keeping homes for America's homeowners.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of things that happened after the real estate market crashed in 2007, and the ripple effect affected a lot of people up in, you know, till present day. So what we were helping people was within the loan modifications area of the real estate industry, and that's closer to loans and mortgages. However, following that, years later, I got into, you know, building a little bit. I project managed with a builder / realtor and learned a little bit about builder code and management and training and bookkeeping and, you know, just a few different things. So it prepared me into what I really wanted to do was become a realtor and work with residential buyers and sellers and commercial buyers and sellers. And so that's the fun stuff I'm into right now.
All right. So since you mentioned DC, are you only licensed to DC?
I'm licensed in DC. However, I am planning to get Virginia and Maryland.
Okay.
But our broker is servicing DC, Maryland, and Virginia, so we do take on clients for all 3 states.
Okay, that's good. So what's going on right now in real estate market? The interest rate is low, and there was a time there was a lot of inventory available. So what has been changed? I heard a lot of things. Some people are saying the interest rate is going up, and there are not many houses. The other thing is now people are saying there are a lot of houses available. So how are you looking at those things? I mean, as far as DC and the other market as well. So
well, what I'm seeing is that there was a low inventory before coronavirus, and then during coronavirus, people were still building, but it got expensive, and you know, everybody wants a turnkey property, and it just takes a little while to build that. Right. So people are still building, people are still buying, and people are still selling, but being that there are less turnkey properties on the market, it does drive those prices up.
Right.
However, as far as mortgages go, if you know you are looking for a loan, you know, it is a good time. Rates are still low, and especially if you're trying to refinance, rates are still low. However, it depends on your situation, and you know, a mortgage lender is going to be the best person to advise you. Your debt-to-income ratio is something that also matters. It's not just necessarily your credit score, and your employment history is also very important. So it's easy to speak to a lender. I have recently joined a brokerage that has a huge affiliation with the NFL alumni. So I'm with T&G Real Estate Advisors, and we have some very experienced people and personnel on our team. I'm also directing our NFL Legends game day experiences, and there is a huge list. I'm sure we'll have a link in the bio here to guide everyone to see what kind of experiences that you will benefit from just by transacting with us as a real estate client. There's many game day experiences, some of which are game day suite tickets in two-time Super Bowl champion Gary Clark's suite in FedEx Field, chance to meet and greet NFL alumni, pro ballers, and so much more. There are personalized game day experiences that you can have one-on-one personal training sessions with an NFL legend and so on. So the list goes on, and the experiences are very exclusive, you know, high-profile people in the building, so it's fun, and we're able to extend that.
This is only for the people who are listing their houses, or it's just a...
Well, there is a membership program that we have. Currently, we're campaigning to see who is interested in game day experiences as well as real estate. So if you meet both, you can join just by being a client. However, if you just want to be a part of the ambiance and experience our parties, you can do a paid membership, and that's something that we can discuss too.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Yeah. I'm sure my information is on here, so if you're interested in real estate chats, let me know.
Sure, I would love to. So let's, since you are from Afghanistan, you probably know multiple languages.
Yes.
And so let's tell us how many languages do you know about it?
So I grew up speaking Farsi. I was born in Afghanistan. Dari is the dialect, and I also understand Urdu from living in Pakistan, our neighboring country. And then I came to America and I learned Spanish in school.
Wow.
So I speak fluent in Farsi, English, and Spanish, but I can't exactly read and write in Urdu, so I'm pretty limited. But I believe everybody in that region kind of picks up on Urdu or Hindi in some way. It's very, you know, culturally appropriate to know Bollywood languages. And
that's good.
Right? So that's kind of where I get it from.
Perfect. So let's change our topic. Let's tell us about what's going on in Afghanistan, what has been changed. There are a lot of misconceptions, so we need to know what's going on.
So first of all, I'd like to say that I am beginning to start taking courses with the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, so that I can be politically correct when I talk about what I'm working on. And currently, I'm representing Afghans that have, you know, silenced voices and that can't come out and speak up for themselves out of fear of, you know, having atrocities happen to them and their loved ones. So there is a lot happening in Afghanistan. You know, I think that for one, I represent an entire race of people that just are going through the worst humanitarian crisis known to mankind. I mean, it's a little bit more than genocide. It's, you know, ethnic, you know, cleansing is what they call it, and it's horrific between the tribes and between, you know, a terrorist organization trying to overthrow the country. So it's a lot on the people that are stuck. There are many things that are going unreported because, you know, they're scared to report things because who is their authority? Right now there is no authority in Afghanistan. Right now there's a, you know, terrorist group organizations gatherings. And so it's a hard time. However, there's also the resistance in the Pine-Share Valley Mountains who could use a lot of support because they are the last of the Afghans that are fighting against the Taliban that are on the ground in Pine-Share. And so I believe that standing your ground and fighting the fight against terrorism is important, especially because the Afghani military has disassembled.
Okay.
So these brave men out there, I do salute to them. I know that the resistance and Northern Alliance,
Okay.
you know, I know their vision and their goals, as my father was a general in the Afghan army and
really?
protected the Northern Alliance and the countrymen of Afghanistan to push out the Taliban in the 1990s. So I do support their mission, and I know that they want a peaceful, progressive,
Definitely.
Equality, and they do promote a separation of religion and government, which is very needed for the Afghan people. And I think that I can say and speak for all Afghans right now that they are willing and want to have a separation of the government, and they want a real government. They're tired of the dishonest, you know, blatant robbery of the Afghani, you know, treasury.
Wow.
So, you know, you can't really take a country's money and run off with it and not pay the same kind of justice that's needed that the terrorists are going to receive. I think it goes hand in hand. You know, anybody, whoever you are, whatever title you have, if you commit crimes against humanity and you abandon your post, then there's, you know, justice that needs to be followed up with that. And so I am for a progressive Afghanistan that is going to build a justice system and a government. But it's really going to take Afghan people to stand up.
Definitely.
And join together, because we have to start this conversation.
So what is your major concern right now, immediate concern that you should be taking care of?
Well, first things first, people are freezing in the mountains that are trying to protect the country.
Right.
Of course, you know, I believe 80% of the people that are refugees are women and children.
Okay.
I'm also getting news daily, so things are different of what I know today than yesterday. And I know that women are leading the force in helping with the evacuations, helping with dispersing merchandise, consumer goods like your basic sanitary needs and diapers and milk and formula, and you know, working with the non-government organizations that are risking their lives and spending a lot of money. You know, just an example of what it costs to evacuate people is, you know, $500,000 for a small plane of people and soldiers. It's really a lot, but a lot of people are helping, and there's only so much that can be done. However, it's going to take a lot of Afghans coming together and really seriously putting a plan into action and fruition for a new, better Afghanistan. This is not something that world leaders need to step in and do, because at that point, who is Afghanistan if we are not the people that rebuild it, you know? So
what is your role right now in human rights and diplomacy? And
I want to learn how to serve the people that need a leader.
Okay.
I know that there's not many women leaders from the Middle East, because most people are afraid of their lives, but I come from a long line of strong men and women that sacrifice their lives and put their neck out for the majority and for the right side. Right now, my role is to point out how, you know, the Taliban and anybody that's associated with the Taliban has really made a mockery of themselves, because you signed an agreement with world leaders and you're not keeping your end of the bargain. And many people like myself and Afghans knew that that wasn't going to be a good idea. However, we're not in position to, and we were not there when that agreement was signed. So that's how I feel about that. As far as what I can do, I can advocate for Congress, as I've been doing. I can lobby for organizations that are providing goods and helping SIV families evacuate and rehome them here. I can help with translation. There's, limited what I can do in terms of checking up on cases, but I can inquire for the person. I can make sure that my people know that their voices are being heard.
Right.
And as for the starving people of my country, I just want them to know that there are people that are trying to do things, but it's almost like moving mountains, and it's hard.
Yes.
And we need support.
Definitely. So what is your suggestion to world leaders, what they can do for Afghanistan?
Well, the first thing is to not recognize a terrorist organization as a government.
I see.
That's the very first part. And I think that world leaders are not actively recognizing them, and more so categorizing the Taliban as a organized terrorist group once again. Second thing is, we need our world leaders, because there are the countries surrounding Afghanistan that are going to be the ones that are affected with whatever help we get, or however Afghanistan ends up. So our neighbors are our friends. We've had relationships with our neighbors for a long time. And I'd also like to share, I've done my DNA test most recently, and Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Dubai have the same exact DNA. So I'd just like to point that out for our friends and family that are far away and don't know that fun fact, but there's not much difference.
Pakistan is definitely doing that. You heard about that Imran Khan activities, that he's always encouraging people to support Afghanistan.
Well, I do support anybody that wants to support Afghanistan, but in which way are you using your power? Because the Prime Minister, Imran Khan, has actually openly supported and has asked world leaders and pled for world leaders to support the Taliban. And so that, I think, is a negative way to support the Taliban yourself. And I think that world leaders like Imran Khan should not recognize a terrorist group, because it's almost like letting a felon come and be a president of your country.
I see. So what is your local activities here? How can someone participate in that movement?
Well, right now my movement is new and it's small.
I see.
But we're a growing baby, so you can join my association I've created on Facebook. It's called the International Association of Afghan Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
It's where I share information, and I'm just building a group of people that have the same intent, is for a better Afghanistan. And I also post a lot of resources about organizations that want to help SIV families be rehomed, as well as help Afghans in general that need help, and providing them resources, because as you asked me earlier, what are some of the concerns? Well, nobody's allowed to get money. There's been a stop to jobs and education. People just want to study and live in peace.
Definitely.
And they are fighting, a civil war, and they're fighting against, internationally, trying to prove that they are worthy of the rescue. And I don't think that these people should be begging. I think that, I appreciate all the countries that have opened up their doors and that have ongoing support to Afghanistan, but I also want the rest of the world to, just understand that these people are in worse situation than the Holocaust. This is a grave situation. It's more than a humanitarian issue.
Definitely.
So I do have some support. Gary Clark Incorporated and all of our associates are very supportive and have my back, as well as Ben Slater, I just spoke to him.
I see.
There's several diplomats that are on my side.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends and family here in DC and Canada
I see.
and California that are very supportive, and my support is just growing. So eventually I'm going to have a campaign
Okay.
so that I can focus specifically on one cause at a time with an individual non-government organization over there
Okay.
with a memorandum of understanding so that we can get some aid to people that need it.
Definitely. So let's talk about a little bit about other things, and we're going to change the topic. You love animals.
I do.
Okay. Let's talk about it. What kind of animals do you have?
So back in Afghanistan, before we moved here, I had chickens and ducks and goats and sheep, but I was working my way to a pony, and then I got involved in horses here in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So I've been training
Okay.
with horses to learn how to ride and to learn how to train them, and I ended up adopting a wild Mustang.
Wow.
And I brought him home from Illinois. He was originally captured in a really dangerous corral that the Bureau of Land Management does every once in a while from like Nevada all throughout the United States.
I see.
And he came from Nevada, and he was 2 years old, and I picked him up when he was 4. So he had spent 2 years just hanging out, finally eating good, and now he is 5.5, and
5.5.
he's a healthy, loving Mustang.
Oh, that's
who
good.
is slowly getting trained, but I can ride him, and he's very friendly. So
very friendly.
he's kind of my therapy. You have to be
Definitely.
very diplomatic with a
Yes.
Mustang
Oh, really?
to earn some trust. Yeah, they are leaders, and they look for leaders to
I
train them.
see.
So you can't just be anybody off the street.
Right.
Yeah. So it's very
Any other pet?
exciting. I do have my dog.
Oh.
She's also a rescue. I also rescue other dogs and
I see.
cats and bunnies every once in a while, but we kind of got into that as I have my son. So through caring for animals, I'm teaching him how to care for, himself, and the responsibility of caring is
Exactly.
big. So.
Definitely. Any last message you want to give to our viewers?
I just want to say to everyone, sometimes it's hard to have these difficult topics, but we all have to do something that we're, sent out to do. So
Right.
I hope that everyone can spread awareness for human rights and be loving and love thy neighbor. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And hope you guys enjoyed and learn more about real estate market and what is going on in Afghanistan. So inshallah, we will meet again with another guest. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you.